Hey, how's it going, everybody? Matt Houston here, and today we're going over the Illrigger class made by Matthew Coville that was made specifically for the character Judge in his Chain of Acheron campaign. And it's sort of like a paladin, but evil, but very different than the Oathbreaker paladin that we see in the DMG. So let's have a little look at it. The Illrigger. The lords of the 9 cities of hell scheme and plot endlessly, eternally. Each seeks to bring the other to heel and ascend to the throne of hell, uniting the 9 cities and every infernal thing that lives there, leading an infinite army of devils across the timescape until all worlds burn. Their elite shock troops, the terror commandos of hell, are the Illriggers, knights of hell. They are high charisma counter paladins who master devils and cast their own unique spells. The Order of Desolation. Acceptance into the Order of Illriggers makes you a comrade with every other Illrigger, regardless of which archdevil you serve. Each archdevil has churches, underground fans, secret societies, cults, all with leaders maniacally devoted to the archdevil who grant them their power. But the Association of Illriggers consider themselves each more alike to the other in the order than the priests and warlocks who serve the same master. Members of the Order of Desolation, also known as the Desolate or the Knights of Desecration, are expected to be intelligent, resourceful, tactical, and manipulative. A temple or cult may believe that the presence of an Illrigger in their midst is a sign of their archdevil's approval on their actions, but Illriggers are independent. They serve no order, no hierarchy, no authority but the archdevil themselves, and pride themselves on being separate from all other organizations. It is not unusual, therefore, for a member of the Order of Desolation to seek help, find it, and other members of the Order first, even from Illriggers who serve other archdevils before going to any church, cult, or temple to their own archdevil. Alright, so class features. So, hit points, you gain a good old D10 on your hit die, pretty appropriate. Proficiency, light, medium, and shields. You don't get heavy armor, which I think is strange, considering that this looks like half plate to me. I honestly think that the heavy armor would be appropriate here. I don't think enough classes utilize heavy armor as default in the game, and I think having a paladin counterpart, I think having heavy armor available would be a good idea, though I wouldn't say that necessarily means that you would go into heavy armor, but I think the heavy armor is definitely going to be something that they may want to consider as a proficiency. All simple and martial, but no tools. You get Constitution and Charisma, much like the Sorcerer, which means that you're going to be, my guess is you're going to be very spell heavy with this type of class, or very ability heavy, I should say, rather than martial. You get two skills between Arcana, Athletics, Deception, Insight, Intimidation, Investigation, Persuasion, and Religion. All make sense for a anti-paladin or a paladin of devils kind of character. Standard equipment, lots of stuff that makes absolute sense. The extra javelins I think is a little strange here. But otherwise, you get your armors, you get your weapons, things of that sort. Chain, shirt, or leather armor with a longbow and arrows. Interesting. They are half casters. Okay. Forked tongue. You double your proficiency bonus when making a deception, intimidation, or persuasion check. I have mixed feelings about this. I think being able to get expertise in up to 3 skills immediately is kind of crazy. Not even the rogue gets to do that. The bard doesn't get to do that either. This is a little bit nuts. It does narrow you in on something very, very specific, and that is you talk to people. But you can talk to people in every way necessary, and you're really good at it. And you're probably going to have a high charisma in this class as well anyways. So I debate whether or not this is particularly overpowered or not. I think being able to pick one of those 3 would be fine, personally, or maybe 2 of the 3. All 3, I think, is a little bit strong. Infernal Conduit. There's a well of infernal power within you that replenishes after you take a long rest. With this well, you can transfer up to your level times 3 hit points between your Illrigger and the others. They really should have transferred the language back into the like this is from the Strongholds and Followers book. They really should have transferred the language into the same kind of language that the player's handbook uses, just to keep it from being as confusing as this. It's a bit of an odd way of putting it, but so 3 times your level is the size of your pool, and you can transfer that many hit points between you and another target. As an action, you can touch a creature. If the creature is unwilling, you must make a Constitution saving throw against your Charisma spell DC. If they succeed, this ability does not affect them, and they may not attempt for another 24 hours. If they fail, they know you have created a conduit between you. Upon touching an infected target, you may transfer hit points between you, either draining hit points from the subject and healing yourself by the same amount, or draining your hit points and healing the subject by that amount as well. In both instances, the limit is the maximum amount remaining in your well. The conduit closes at the end of your turn. And this is an action, so it's not something, so you gotta be careful how you use this. So at first level, it's 3, 6, 9, 12, so on. It's sort of like a vampiric version of the lay on hands. Rather than healing, you're transferring. If you are fully healed, you may use this power to gain temporary hit points. Awesome. You cannot give another creature temporary hit points. At 9th level, you are able to remove a level of exhaustion or inflict a level of exhaustion. Nice. At 13th level, allows you to know the thoughts of an affected target, gaining insight into its reasoning, if any, its emotional state, and something that looms large over its mind, such as something it worries over, loves, or hates. So at 13th level, this serves a much larger purpose than just giving healing. It also serves its purpose much more heavily into outside of just being able to do damage. Because let's be honest here, at 5th level, being able to just touch someone, just do 15 points of damage and heal yourself for 15 points of damage is pretty good, especially if you're going to be a frontline kind of character. All right, 2nd level. You get a fighting style, and these are all different. These are completely different from the standard set that you would see in the regular player's handbook. When you flank an enemy or attack a surprised enemy, you add 1d6 to your damage against them. That's pretty cool. I really, really like this. It's an amazing fighting style if you're fighting with more than one melee character. This is really, really good really quickly. An extra d6 on an attack, especially when you get additional attacks and things like that later on. That's really nice. Bravado. While you are not wearing any armor, your armor class equals 10 plus your dex plus your charisma. You can use a shield and still gain this benefit. That's pretty cool. Making yourself a charisma character and your own personal bravado protects you. I like this idea. I was wondering what kind of class you could possibly make that would be able to utilize something other than the dexterity or the wisdom. The constitution rather, and the wisdom of the two classes, as they do kind of make the most sense of all the stats. Your raw strength is just like for the armor, makes too much sense to change that. But being able to utilize your charisma this way, pretty good. Intelligence actually was used by the wizard, now that I think about it as well, which makes sense. I was wondering if someone would find a way to make a charisma that makes sense, and this actually does make a lot of sense. It's your connection to the archdevil that is giving you bravado armor. I like this. It's clever. Schemes. While you wield a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapons, you may use your reaction to attack an adjacent enemy who hits you with a melee weapon. It's pretty much the same as I believe it is the barbarian's ability to just attack when they get attacked. I like this. It's pretty simple. I like it. Lies. While wielding a two-handed weapon, you may choose to use your strength or charisma modifiers for the attack and damage rolls. You must use the same modifier for both rolls. This is really cool. This actually lets you go charisma, con, dex, and go medium armor, which is really good because a lot of times classes want to utilize either light armor and just go heavy into dex, or dump their dex and go heavy into strength and heavy armor. This lets you actually take a minor bonus in dexterity and go medium armor and have a lot of benefits for it. Baleful Interdict. Upon reaching 2nd level, you learn how to use the power granted by your Archdevil to censor other creatures. As a bonus action, burn a spell slot to place a seal on the target within 30 feet. You can do this a number of times equal to your Charisma modifier. You replenish all your seals after a long rest. When you or an ally hits the target you can see with a seal on them, you may consume the seal, inflicting 2d6 necrotic damage on the target per seal. If you are within 30 feet of the target, you heal 1 point of damage for each die of damage your seal inflicted. So in this case, it would be 2. Seals evaporate if not used within 1 minute. Only the Illrigger who placed the seals knows that it's there. It appears in the Illrigger's sight as a glowing glyph on the creature's forehead. Now, it says for the number of dice used, but it doesn't say anything about additional dice, so I don't know if this is... maybe it'll say something a little bit later, but it looks like it's supposed to be 2d6, it's 1d6 plus 1d6 per spell slot, as would be my guess that you use. I don't know, but this is, it's kind of like almost like a smite. But it's very different. It's about, almost like a curse. I like that. They also gain spell casting, pretty much the same as paladins. They still get their charisma modifier for their casting proficiencies. You can use a holy symbol. Hellsight. You have advantage on wisdom perception checks to notice disguises, hidden, or invisible creatures. Nice. I like that. Simple, and definitely really adds to the idea of a being that is connected to creatures that know a lot of stuff about other creatures. At 6th level, Marquis of the Hall. Starting at 6th level, devils will not attack you. As an action, you can choose a devil within 30 feet. It must succeed on a charisma saving throw equal to the standard spell DC, or you become its master and it behaves as though you summoned it. If it succeeds, you cannot use this ability to get on it for 24 hours. This is quite an addition here that say that devils will not attack you. If you're working for a devil and you don't have other evil characters with you or other very neutral characters, you're treading some pretty interesting ground when devils just kind of hang out around you. This is interesting. Improved Baleful Interact. You feel your connection to an archdevil increase. Your seal inflicts an extra d6 of damage. When you have an unspent seal, your weapon attack inflicts an additional 1d6 damage. Okay, so this is how this works. This is at 11th level. Jeez, that's quite a bit later. So it does 3d6 on hit, or when you consume it, but while you have an unspent seal, so there's one out there and you haven't used it yet, your weapon just deals an additional 1d6 damage. So you can decide, hey, I'm going to keep using it. I'm going to just, curse this one guy over here, one of my buddies, just curse him because I'm the only one that can decide to consume it. And now I just deal an extra d6 against everything that I attack for however long I choose. It's a pretty interesting idea. I like this. All right, Duke of Hell, upon reaching 10th level, backwards in this PDF page. Interesting. All right, well, whatever. Upon reaching 10th level, you gain the ability to summon a devil to serve you for 1 minute as an action once a week. The devil is bound to you and must obey your commands to the best of its ability. It acts on the same initiative as you, and you may both act and move on the same turn you summoned it. If you die or fall unconscious, the devil returns to hell. D12 results, so you roll on a table. You get barb, chain, and bone, all of which are decently powered at this point. These are not small devils. They're not crazy, but they're not small. The Bone Devil is obviously the high roll here, and Bone Devils are pretty good. Knight of Hell. Upon reaching 3rd level, you pledge your soul to the service of an Archdevil and are welcomed into the Order of Desolation, becoming an Illrigger. You gain the Invoke Authority ability and choose either Shadowmaster, Painkiller, or Aristocrat of Ruin as your speciality. Furthermore, you are a noble of the lists of Hell and will be accord fine treatment and hospitality anywhere in hell you travel, even in cities ruled by enemy archdevils. More correspondent cities in the timescape, like Aloy, the City of Brass, will also respect your noble ranks. Interesting. Each of the Lords of Hells grants different spells to their elite death commandos. You gain access to those spells at the level specified by invoking Authority's description. Once you gain access to the Oath spells, you always have it prepared. Authority spells don't count against the number of spells you can prepare each day. You gain an Authority spell that doesn't appear on the Illrigger spell if the spell is nonetheless an Illrigger spell for you. Invoke Authority. You invoke the authority granted you by your Archdevil Lord, channeling baleful energy to fuel magical effects. Each invoke authority option provided by your Archdevil explains how to use it. When you use your invoke authority, you choose which option to use. You must finish a short or long rest to use your invoke authority again. Some invoke authorities require saving throws when you use them, such as effects from this class. The DC equals your Illrigger spell DC. Alrighty. So, we have authority spells for the Shadow Master. Shadow Master serves Moloch and excels at stealth and guerrilla combat. An armor assassin of hell. Disguise self, expedition retreat, darkness, alter self, blink, gaseous form, confusion, freedom of movement, modify memory, and pass wall. Invoke authority, cloud of brimstone. As a bonus action, you can teleport up to 15 feet. As well, compel the graceless. As an action, you can choose a target. If their dexterity is less than yours, they must make a wisdom saving throw. If they fail, they attack their closest ally. If their dexterity is equal to or higher than yours, this ability has no effect. So it's one of those things where you have to kind of be able to judge whether or not you are more dexterous than the target. Now, granted, because this is an armored assassin kind of service that you are providing, it makes sense to have a high dexterity and go into light armor in this case. Sign of Moloch. 7th level, you choose a second fighting style. That's pretty cool. Blessings of Shadow. Upon attaining 15th level, you become invisible to any creature with one of your seals on it. That's cool. And the Capstone ability. Starting at 20th level, you may use an action to become a greater shadow for 1 minute. You gain damage resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, thunder, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical weapons. You gain incorporeal movement and a fly speed of 50. You can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. You take 5 or 1d10 force damage if you end your turn inside an object. Your weapon attacks deal necrotic damage, and successful attacks drain 1d4 strength from the target. The target dies if it's reduced to 0. Otherwise, the reduction lasts until the target finishes a short or long rest. If a non-evil humanoid dies from this attack, a new shadow rises from the corpse for 1d4 hours later. You regain the use of this ability after a long rest. That is a pretty cool capstone ability. Not gonna lie. This goes back to something I've said before, especially with paladins. You get incredibly awesome stuff at 20th level. You know, you fight at a demigod kind of level at 20th level, and unfortunately there's just not a lot of things that you can really do at that point that aren't just insanely overwhelming. It's really cool, and I like the idea. How often does this ability get used? Probably very seldomly, but hey, I think it's a really cool idea. All right, Painkiller. The heavily armored death troopers of hell, the Painkiller serves Despater, leading from the front of every major infernal battle. They gain Bane, inflict wounds, a lot of the harsh offensive, defensive combat spells. In addition, they get Evoke Authority. Every enemy within 30 feet takes 1d8 damage per seal on them. This does not consume the seals. You can continuously put seals on targets. That's something that's really, really cool here. Invoke Authority. Compel the weak. Choose a target. If their strength is less than yours, they must make a wisdom saving throw. If they fail, they attack their closest ally. If their strength is equal to or higher than yours, this ability has no effect. Pretty similar to the dexterity one, and appropriate to a more offense, defense, heavily armored brawler type of character. When you choose this Archdevil, you gain the proficiency with heavy armor. So that's why you don't get heavy armor as an option off the hop. You want to go specifically into the heavy armor category when you pick this proficiency. I like that idea, much like the Cleric in that regard. Scion of Disparter. Starting at 7th level, you may consume a seal on an enemy when attacking them to gain advantage on the attack. Cool. I like that. Blessing of Fury. I like to point out here, this class does not get extra attack. It's very much an ability-based class. Spells and abilities. So these guys have some pretty cool spells. So at 50th level, you gain an extra attack against an enemy with one of your seals on it. Not extra attack, but extra attack when it has a seal on it. Again, this means that you are not multi-attacking targets. You need to find ways to stack your damage on attacks. As a result, you're more of a team player than anything else. You're not a upfront one and done type character where you can get in the front line and just fight. You need to have allies in the front lines with you. But in the capstone ability at level 20, Devil Knight, which is an action, you can transform yourself into a devil for 1 minute. Your size becomes large, your strength becomes 26, and your constitution becomes 24. You emanate an aura of fear, forcing every creature that starts to turn within 20 feet of you to make a DC 16 wisdom saving throw or be frightened for 1 minute. I think it's very strange that it's a DC 16 and not just a whatever your spell DC is. I think that would have been a better choice. Affected targets can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of their turns, ending the effect on a success. Your type becomes devil, and while you are in this form, hell is your home plane. You replenish this ability after a long rest. This is cool. I really, really like this idea. The Illrigger gains such connection to the Archdevil that they're connected to that they just become a piece of this entity that they are connected to. Antiarch of Ruin. You serve Asmodeus, Lord of the Underdark and the 7th city of Hell. Hell's aristocrats are powerful spellcasters who use their seals to improve their arcane might. Identify magic missile, augury, silence, anime dead, slow division, polymorph. A pretty good grab bag of spells, I would say. Until the end of your next turn, you cast a spell that normally have a cast time of 1 action as a bonus action, which allows you to cast a spell and attack in the same turn. That's pretty cool. I like that. Compel the Critias. Choose a target. If their charisma is less than yours, they must make a wisdom saving throw. If they fail, they attack their closest ally. If their charisma is equal to or higher, this ability has no effect. Scion of Asmodeus. At some of the little enemies with the seal on them have disadvantage when saving against your spells. That's really cool. I like that. Making your spells even better. Blessing of Fire. At 50th level, when an enemy with a seal on them attacks you, they immediately take 5 fire damage per seal. This does not consume the seals. This again is sticking to the idea of you just kind of throw seals on targets and just beat the hell out of them and then consume seals and just do a ton of damage, or leave your seals on and gain additional benefits for doing so. And the capstone ability at 20th level, Hellmage. Starting at 20th level, you assume the form of an Archmage of Hell for 1 minute. While in this form, you may use your reaction to absorb a spell that targets only you. The spell has no effect, and you regain spell slots equal to the level of the spell cast upon you. This is cool. I actually think this is amazing and very appropriate for a 20th level ability. I like it. Mostly spells that are kind of like a connection between, kind of looks like a paladin meets warlock sort of spell list. They do get some pretty cool stuff. So the Illrigger spells, we're going to go over the Illrigger spells in a separate video. This is very much a warlock meets paladin kind of idea, with a little bit of a splash of a cleric, which is pretty similar to the paladin anyways, but very much a paladin meets warlock with a splash of cleric. And of course, there's some spells that are unique to this class on its own. We're going to go over those in a separate video. But overall, I think this is a really, really cool class. I really like it. I don't know how often you could actually implement this particularly well into your own campaign unless you have a very, very large set of neutral characters in the party, because you are going to have an evil character in your party. Illriggers have pledged to be evil. They pledge to work for evil. So, and them eventually buying their way out of that deal can be pretty dangerous, especially if they have all these powers. they will probably lose them. This would be an amazing one-time characters in your party. So if you have a friend that's going to show up for, on occasion, or it's a great idea for an NPC to keep showing up inside your campaign and have different conflicting views on how to approach problems. But overall, this looks absolutely great. I would love to play a class like this. So that just about ends this video. Thank you so much for watching. Do make a comment in the Troll's Nest on the underside of this video and tell me what you think of this class. Do you think it's a little bit too powerful? I don't think it's too powerful. I think it's pretty interesting. We'll have to look at the Illrigger spells. Maybe some of them are a little bit nuts, but we'll discuss that next time. Like this video if you did. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another video. And until next time, guys, have a good day.